to the Chamber's candidate interview series. I'm Christy Moore, and I serve as the president of the Dawson County Chamber of Commerce. On June 9th, the primary election will be held in Georgia, and early voting begins May 18th. In Dawson County, there are many local elections on the ballot. You may always view your sample ballot and polling location by visiting mvp.sos.ga.gov. One of the main areas of focus of our Chamber's strategic plan is advocacy. While we would typically host a forum for all candidates, due to the current pandemic and out of an abundance of caution that prioritizes the health and safety of the candidates and our staff, we are hosting in-depth candidate interviews instead. All candidates who are running for an office for which more than one candidate is running were invited to be interviewed. As a nonpartisan organization, we take seriously our role to promote issues of benefit to our businesses and community, as well as support the promotion of information about upcoming elections. The Chamber does not endorse a particular party nor particular candidates. We have worked diligently to ensure that these candidate interviews are fair to the participants and informative of our members and audience. Candidates were not given the questions prior to being interviewed. Questions were submitted by Chamber members and were predetermined by the Chamber's Advocacy Committee. Similar to a forum, each candidate will be given 3 minutes to give an opening statement, and we'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. Today, I'm joined by Doug Sherrill, who is running to be the next state representative for District 9. Doug, would you like to kick us off with your opening statement?
Well, thank you. I want to, on behalf of my family and campaign, I appreciate the Chamber taking this time to interview us. My name is Doug Sherrill, and I have served as Lumpkin County District 1 Commissioner. Christy, thank you for taking this time to interview me and the Chamber's willingness to do this. I think it's important to get to know the candidates, and so I'm very grateful and honored to be here today. I'm married, been married for 27 years. I have 4 wonderful children. We live in Lumpkin County. We live in Dahlonega. I have an office in Dawsonville. I'm a professional land surveyor by trade, and I've been a surveyor for quite a number of years, some 25 years. And I have served at the University of North Georgia as a lecturer in geomatics and legal aspects of surveying. So I've pastored for over 20 years, and that is really what my first occupation has been. I attended Louisiana Baptist University in Shreveport, Louisiana, and so I am all about service, and I love our community, and so I hope to share more of that with you in this interview.
Absolutely. Well, to kick us off, let's talk about why you want to be a state representative.
Sure. So as I said, I love this community. I have served this community faithfully for the past 25 years. I have served as a Lumpkin County District 1 Commissioner. And when the recession hit in 2007, I had about somewhere around 15 to 17 employees. We had to lay those folks off, and we went down to 1 to 2 people. And I went back to school and earned a master's degree at the University of North Georgia at that time in public administration. So at that time, I thought, I need to use this education, and I love politics and government and things of that nature. So I ran for county commissioner. Enjoyed my time there of serving and learning all the aspects of local government. And so I believe my skill set that I have is incumbent upon this office at the state level.
Absolutely. Well, you lead perfectly into our next question, which is, please share with us experience, specifically in public service, but also in building consensus that qualifies you to run for this position.
So all aspects of my resume certainly have been consensus building. As a land surveyor, I'm called upon to mediate between opposing landowners. I do that daily. I've had guns pulled on me. You name it, I can tell the stories of mediating between citizens. As a pastor, of course, there's a lot of mediation that goes on there, and counseling in marriage and conflict resolution. And then certainly on the government aspect, as a county commissioner Every year, as other certified county commissioners know, we deal with budgets. We deal with the sheriff. We deal with the tax commissioners and the judges and a multifaceted budget. So building consensus not only among other elected officials, but among other commissioners of unique and differing perspectives is important. I was able to do that as a county commissioner. I was voted as the vice chair of our board. So the others on that team recognize my ability to lead and to build consensus among opposing views. And so.
Absolutely. I know that budget time well, and it's not always the most fun.
Right.
If elected, how will you maintain accessibility for your constituents in District 9?
So that's a great question. One of the things I would like to do now that we have a sort of a new mode of operation here with the COVID crisis, I think that virtual town hall meetings are going to be essential. I plan on having virtual meetings online periodically throughout the session, more so during the session than outside of the session throughout the year, but we will definitely keep our constituents updated online. As things move back to where we can have meetings, I would love to, as Kevin Tanner did so often, he would meet at the restaurants. I really want to make sure that we do that. I love meeting with people and discussing the issues, fielding questions. That's what I want to do, and have open transparency on the issues and what we face at the state.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, with a business here in Dawson County, our community is blessed with a strong local sales tax base. And so the Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, which we call eSPLOST, has generated funds that have allowed our school system to build beautiful buildings, most recently like the College and Career Academy, and also put an iPad in the hands of every student, kindergarten through 12th grade. Currently, state law only allows eSPLOST to be spent on bricks and mortar projects, textbooks, school buses, and technology, but not salaries. Would you support giving eSPLOST flexibility so schools can hire additional staff and faculty?
So that's a great question. And in fact, I fielded this question. I don't think I fielded the question, but I gave an answer yesterday regarding this issue. eSPLOST and SPLOST and T-SPLOST are very unique programs that must be strong adherence to the policies that we have in place. However, I would absolutely propose a crisis management provision when an emergency is issued by the governor, that those funds could be allocated, a portion of those funds could be allocated to provide and to see us through some salaries and some payroll issues. I would not support long-term diversions of those funds, but certainly during an emergency as we have now, I think that needs to be an essential element of the eSPLOST to protect our teachers. Our teachers need to be protected more than anything. People over projects needs to be the priority. And so very good question, and I would support that initiative under an emergency.
Thank you. Well, as the state continues to grow, particularly north of Atlanta, where this district is located, transportation infrastructure becomes increasingly important. If elected, how do you intend to advocate for increased funding from the Department of Transportation?
So the best way to advocate is to have knowledge and to build networks among those that can make things happen. As a land surveyor and a land planner, I deal daily with the Georgia Department of Transportation. I obtain permits for my clients, so I know the engineers and I know the powers that be, if you will, in the Department of Transportation at the highest levels. So advocating for our needs here is going to be a primary focus of my tenure as a legislator. I understand the needs of roads. I understand the needs of the LMIG funding locally. As a county commissioner, I know what we need as local governments to get these roads built. When T-SPLOST was first introduced, I did not support the early T-SPLOST that was regionalized because the disparity among the funds But this last T-Splost, I absolutely endorsed and encouraged citizens to vote in because that money stays locally. And the local government can choose those projects. Local government is where everything takes place. And so anything I can do at the state level to help support the local government, that's what I want to do.
For 2020, the Tax Foundation ranked Georgia 32nd in their state business tax climate index. This index is designed to rank how well states structure their tax systems and reflects the following variables: corporate tax, individual income tax, sales tax, unemployment insurance tax, and property tax. Recognizing that there are many ranking systems that we could refer to, are there specific areas within the state government that you feel could be reduced or modified in order to ease unnecessary regulations, restrictions, and financial burdens upon Georgia's businesses?
So let me first say that during this COVID crisis, one of the things that we need to look at, I think, at a federal level, is payroll taxes should be suspended. A lot of folks are talking about the stimulus package that is being put forward right now in Congress, and I strongly oppose that stimulus package. It's my belief that until we can get beyond the CARE Act, this economy is going to remain slow and sluggish, and we need to get people back to work. So whatever the tax structure is, it needs to be pro-business, encouraging our businesses, and to suspend payroll taxes would be an outstanding way to get our businesses through this crisis and this moment. There are some local tax structures that have been problematic. The senior tax exemption in Dawson and Lumpkin County have impacted. A tax exemption is a tax shift. It's not a conservative value. It's not a conservative principle in any sort of way to shift taxes to the few. I'm not opposed to the senior exemption in any way by saying that, and I would not touch that. But it has impacted our local economy, our local government. And what I dislike about it is it's attracting and incentivizing folks to move here that could otherwise afford to pay those taxes. So while maybe my grandmother can't afford the tax and the majority may not be able to afford the tax, there are some that could afford it. And so I hope that a local initiative would be brought about to help modify that as best as possible.
Absolutely. Well, as we've experienced, we're on a call right now, a virtual call. Over the last few months, access to broadband is vitally important. Telemedicine, long distance learning, and economic development all require access to high-speed internet. If elected, what are your ideas for improving access to broadband in your district and throughout the state?
So this is, if I've heard this once, I've heard this 1,000 times, right? And Windstream is the enemy of North Georgia. So as a county commissioner, we did work to attempt to reach out to Windstream. Senator Gooch has worked tirelessly on this issue. The problem is it's privatized, and until we define this as an essential utility, and where the Public Service Commission can take part and say, hey, we need to allocate more funds to help individuals and businesses tie into, for example, the North Georgia Network. I mean, what a great opportunity we had in the North Georgia Network. Unfortunately, there's so many that can't tie into that. It's not financially feasible, or it doesn't pass their area. So the problem is real. But the problem is that the government's hands have been tied because it is a private entity. Until we have enough customers, I mean, it's a return. It simply boils down to a return on investment. If we can involve, and there has been legislation passed to better involve the EMCs, those EMCs need to take part, and they need to be educated and see the return on their own investment for broadband, for them to take part in broadband initiatives. So I think it's going to happen. I think we will get there. We just need to continue to shine a light on it and to talk about it.
Absolutely. I think we've been talking about that issue the entire time I've been here, almost 8 years. But, Dawson County and Lumpkin also, but Dawson County in particular is home to the longest operating corn maze in the state. That's Uncle Shucks. One of the top fall agritourism destinations, Bird's Pumpkin Farm, the tallest cascading waterfall east of the Mississippi, Amicalola Falls, and of course, North Georgia Premium Outlets. Georgia's 9th House District is home to many other agritourism and tourism destinations. How do you propose to promote and foster the sustainability and growth of tourism throughout the state of Georgia, given that it has such a great impact within Dawson, Lumpkin, and Forsyth counties?
So that's a great question, and it highlights how great our region and where we live is. I mean, this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest places to live in the United States. I love our North Georgia mountains and what we have to offer. In order to promote agritourism, agribusiness, the answer is not flashy from a government standpoint, unfortunately, but it has to do with infrastructure. Folks have to be able to drive to and from our area. We have the 400 corridor, which is wonderful. We're looking at expanding. GDOT has a plan to expand Long Branch Road and 115 to get up toward Cleveland and Helen. Those initiatives are important. Now, that's 20 years out, but we need to be planning and seeing that. So I think from a government perspective, not flashy, but we need to make sure that our roads are accessible, are paved, are well maintained. I think that we also encourage the local governments to classify our areas. For example, Lumpkin County, we designated the Wine Plateau in North Georgia there, and all that Lumpkin County and Dawson County can do to promote our area at the local level is vital to making this happen. From a state level, I'm there to support any initiative and needs that our local government and the chamber may have and may request of me.
Thank you. Well, if elected, what do you envision for your role in advocating specifically for the businesses in your district? Is there one particular business issue, maybe even as business owner, that you plan to champion?
So I think tax reform would be on the hearts and minds of all business owners. How can we manage and improve our tax structure and our tax system, if you will? Georgia has done a great job, I must say. Governor Deal and before him, the legislature has placed into the coffers a good fund. Governor Kemp has done an outstanding job in that regard. So they're making cuts now. As we properly manage and maintain our triple bond rating, those things are essential. Those are important. What could I champion as far as small businesses go? It goes back to the first question you asked earlier, on broadband. As a commissioner, I met with several companies that wanted to bring some major infrastructure to this community, but they could not do so because of the lack of the broadband internet. We must get a handle on broadband. And again, I think it's as essential. When we talk about internet, we must think of it as a water line, a sewer line, a road. It is an essential utility, and we need to tout it and define it as such. So that's a key issue that I think all our businesses would be thankful if we could solve that problem once and for all.
I think so too. By the federal definition of small business, which is having 500 or fewer employees, all Dawson County businesses are small. I would venture to guess that all businesses within the district are actually small. But please share with us why a small business owner should vote for you.
A small business owner should vote for me because I am a small business owner. It's one thing to say someone helps small businesses. I am the one that needs the help and understands those needs. I went through the payroll protection program, and we have helped our employees out in having that. I understand those tax filings and those weekly payrolls, the blood, sweat, and tears that go in so often into the small business, where that as a small business owner like myself, I go without pay to make sure my employees get paid. Those are real things that the small business owner faces in looking to succeed and to be a successful business owner. So vote for me because I understand what a small business is, because that's what I have spent my life uh, raising my family and supporting my family doing.
Absolutely. Well, as we come to a close, please share with us anything maybe we didn't cover as you share your closing statement.
Well, once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share some perspective. Um, I am open and transparent. I would love to speak with any of the constituents in this community at any time. They can call me on my cell phone, 706-525-9496. You can call me anytime during the day or text me with your questions. I'd love to interact and to speak with you personally. Um, Again, I believe that my resume, if you take the time to study and look into it, is commensurate and will facilitate my understanding and ability to properly represent this region with conservative Christian values.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for this time that you've shared with us today. Tell us, do you have a campaign website or Facebook page where people can find you?
I do. Thank you. Yes, I'm on Facebook at Vote Doug Sherrill. And also I have a website, www.votedougsherrill.com.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you again for spending this time with us.
Thank you.